Is it a wise move to buy and hold open land? I don't think so. Is it a clever idea to buy something that is in massive supply? I'm not so sure. Is the house pointing north? That's a good sign. Position is of utmost importance because in Johannesburg particularly, there's a lot of urban decay. And when you buy your home, is your area going to decay in the future? Okay, so this is where people make or lose money, is in the fine details. In real estate, there are many different property types, and you've got to choose what it is that you want to invest in order to make a long-term growth. Obviously, being around real estate for a long time, I've watched investors invest in open land. And for me, unless you've got a proper plan that's going to be executed in a short space of time, your holding costs on open land can kill you financially. And I'm averse to holding open land. When you're looking to invest in property, I think you really have to take time to understand what you are trying to achieve. So in the life cycle of myself, as an example, I regret selling an apartment that I bought, which is now in high demand because it's in the central business district of Sandton. So my advice to young people is to buy something that when you have outgrown it, you can keep it. Instead of selling it and paying huge capital gains and huge transfer costs, you can keep it and rebond that property and move into the next life cycle when you create or start a family, as an example, and then move into retirement later on. I think people that immerse or obtain wealth out of property is not by buying and selling all the time. I think it's about regearing. I think it's about buying properties that are unique. I think it's about buying properties that will have long-term value because they're in the right position in terms of where they're located. Are they unique? So many people these days are investing, in my mind, in a product that's not worthwhile, and that's cookie-cut sectional title developments that you can never outstrip. The supply is ongoing, so there's no uniqueness to them. So you can never, outstrip the value of what someone could buy directly from a developer. When you selling it in a second-hand environment, you are paying a transfer duty, and when they're buying directly from the developer, they're paying its VAT included. So those are things I would watch out for. But for me, position. It's an old cliche. But if you can buy something that's going to be really difficult to find in the future, that you have a need for, that's obviously first prize. I'm a sucker for a view. Look, whenever you are buying property, you need to look at yourself as a financial entity. And I've always looked to try and have 40% of my total portfolio in stocks, 40% in property, and 20% in cash, so that I can ride out, a black swan that may come up, interest rate hikes. So affordability in property is key. I think a lot of people buy when everybody's buying, and obviously don't look to understand the affordability. And if the interest rates move upwards in cycles, 50 points, what that's going to do to your affordability and your disposable income, and whether you're going to be able to keep that property. Because obviously when that happens, there's a mass problem, because there's a lot of supply, and the basics of supply and demand are very pertinent to any real estate market. So there's a few cliches that I always look back on, which ring true in my mind, is the if only I'd bought that then. The other cliche is when there's blood on the streets, buy property. Now think about that. If we went back to COVID and we had the foresight to invest in properties that were of massive surplus in Cape Town, as an example, do you not think we would see a massive return on our investment? The demand, obviously, with Cape Town in particular, firstly, the governance is proper. It always astounds me that the councils are actually the people that own They're invested in every single property transaction between 10 and 15% in terms of a transfer duty that happens. So governance and stability are probably the most important things to look for. But the opportunities in Joburg at the moment, I think, are massive. Properties are highly undervalued. And I do see that the demand is increasing constantly. So you've got to look for supply and demand, and you've got to look to take a long-term view. There's no quick in property. To outstrip transfer duties, you're looking to invest. I wouldn't encourage anyone to invest in property for less than 5 years. I'm talking to Johannesburg buyers now. I think that we've got a very unique city where there is decentralization. In Cape Town, for instance, there isn't the vast land that can decentralize. So they have to make the city work. Whereas in Joburg, we've seen decentralization from the center of Joburg. That's how Sandton came about, which is effectively the new central business district. Things are moving north towards Waterfall. There's a lot of companies that are opening up head offices there. So yeah, there's a few pitfalls that you must watch out for in Johannesburg is urban decay. That's alive and well. So you need to pick suburbs that are on the up and invest in position is of utmost importance. And why would someone want to live there? Now, Waterfall as an example is huge because there are a lot of companies that are moving into the Waterfall district, but security, let's be honest, is probably the most important thing when you're investing in Johannesburg. It's a big city, beautiful city, the most treed city in the world. In fact, most trees, man-made or man-planted trees. It's a man-made forest, this place. But position is key, and make sure that you are buying in a place where people feel secure. So obviously, if you're looking to buy for your own personal needs, you're governed by where you work, you're governed by where you send your kids to school. So there's a difference between investing in property and whether you're buying something that you're going to actually use yourself. I'd encourage you to keep property for as long as possible. And if you're an investor, I would look to understand the supply and demand on the rental front, and why would someone want to rent your property versus someone else's property. And position for me is of utmost importance there, based on large companies moving into the area. So in Waterfall as an example, you've got a bunch of companies that have moved. Celsius as an example, PwC, and security is massive. So you want to invest in a building that's well run, it's got good financials. Check the financials of a sectional title development. Make sure that the agent that you're dealing with provides you with those financials so that you're not buying into a building that doesn't have good financial standing, because that's obviously not a good idea. But position, and buy something that is unique, ideally. As I've said, I'm a sucker for a view. I think if you're a property investor, you've got to use logic. And I've always said to people, buy the cheapest house in the most expensive area. And I would encourage you to reach for the max that you can in terms of position as to where that property is situated, so that in 5-10 years time, what is that area going to look like? What is the demand going to be? What are the schools like? Why would someone want to live there is a very, very important discussion to have for an investor, is to understand why would someone want to be in a particular area. It's driven by schools, it's driven by proximity to work, and just use your brain. So with urban decay, it's also a big thing. You drive around the area and see how many homes are abandoned. In Joburg, it's a phenomenon. It blows my mind. But we've got homes in Joburg, Upper Houghton Ridge. There are homes there that if they were in any other city, they would be $100 million homes. And those homes, as a result of other areas that are in proximity to those areas, have created urban decay, and people are moving out. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. You've got to drive around and see what a suburb feels like. What are the restaurants like? What are the people like? What are the schools like? What does it feel like when you're in that environment? And I've watched areas that were trendy once decay over time, and the signs are there. You start driving around, you start seeing things are looking a little bit shabby. Yeah, the urban decay is a huge thing for people in Joburg to watch out for. Yeah, so just let me know how you feel about, I've been living here for 51 years. I've grown up in Johannesburg. I went to King Edward's High School. I've lived in many suburbs around Johannesburg. So let me know how you feel about having an open and honest chat around the pitfalls and the prospects of buying in the city of gold. If there's anything I can do to help you, reach out to me, make a comment in the comments or like this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the video so that you don't miss out on some things that we're doing in the future. Cheers.